Florida isn't just chaotic, it's the most invaded ecosystem in the United States. But what makes it different is how deep the invasion goes. It's not just happening in one place, it's happening everywhere. Above ground, underground, and underwater. They're spread across cities, farms, wetlands, and reefs. And now they're reshaping the entire state. So today we're gonna go over 5 invasive animals that are doing damage in Florida right now. This is the green iguana, and while it might not look dangerous, it's one of the most destructive invasive animals in Florida. They're not really predators, and they're not venomous, but they've quietly become a massive problem, especially in suburban and urban areas. Iguanas are dominating South Florida's cities and suburbs, especially anywhere with canals and seawalls. Green iguanas aren't native to Florida. They came here through the pet trade, escaped or released pets, and once they got loose, Florida's warm climate did the rest. And that is going to be a common theme with all of these animals. Iguanas cause damage in ways people didn't expect. They burrow, which weakens seawalls, canal banks, and even building foundations. They destroy landscaping and native plants. And when their numbers explode, the damage adds up fast, costing homeowners and cities millions of dollars a year. They thrive because Florida unintentionally built the perfect iguana habitat. Warm weather, plenty of food, few predators, women in bikinis, and lots of safe places to hide. And during cold snaps, they can actually be dangerous. That's because they will fall right out of the trees. Not because they're dead, but they get cold stunned. But when the weather gets below freezing, they forget how movement works. They get so cold that they literally freeze and will fall right out of the trees. And when this happens, it actually tells people how many of them are living near them. They might not be scary, but sheer numbers and destruction are exactly why green iguanas earn their spot on this list. Things start getting a little more aggressive with our next invasive animal. This is the Argentine black and white Tegu lizard. Tegus started in South Florida, but they've spread into Central Florida, especially around farmland and nesting areas. At first glance, it looks just like another big lizard, but Tegus are smarter, more aggressive, and far more destructive to native wildlife. Tegus aren't native to Florida. They were brought here through the exotic pet trade. Escaped or released, they have now quickly adapted to the area. And once they did, they spread. And what makes them a problem is that Tegus are omnivores, which means they'll eat almost anything. But the real problem is what they target. They raid nests, eating the eggs of native birds, turtles, and even alligators. That means they're wiping out animals before they ever even have a chance to hatch. And why Florida can't stop them. Tegus are tough. They're intelligent, adaptable, and can survive cooler temperatures by slowing their metabolism. They don't need to freeze in trees and fall down. And they don't need one specific food source. And that makes them extremely difficult to control. But honestly, Tegus seem really cool as a pet. And from here, the list gets a little more toxic. The next animal on our list is the cane toad. With a face and body only a mother could love, cane toads aren't just invasive, they're dangerous to pets, to native wildlife, and to anything that doesn't know what it's dealing with. How it got here. Cane toads were introduced on purpose. They were brought in to control agricultural pests. And like a lot of invasive species stories, it completely backfired. Cane toads are concentrated in South Florida, especially in neighborhoods near water. Near water, that's everywhere in South Florida. And just so you know, this is me, but this is not a cane toad. She's not a cane toad, it's all right. She was natural. Cane toads have large poison glands behind their heads. Animals that try to bite them or eat them will often die. When you pinch a cane toad, that weird poison looks like popping a zit. And cane toads also outcompete native frogs and toads for food and space. Florida's wildlife didn't evolve alongside something this toxic. There's no built-in immunity, no learned avoidance. And once cane toads establish, they reproduce quickly and spread fast, especially in warm, wet environments. And for our next animal, the invasion moves underwater. This is the lionfish. It's beautiful, it's venomous, and it's one of the most destructive invasive species in Florida's waters. At first glance, it doesn't look like much of a threat, but beneath the surface, lionfish are quietly dismantling entire reef ecosystems. Lionfish aren't native to the Atlantic. They were introduced through the aquarium trade. released or escaped pets that found themselves in the perfect environment. Sound familiar? Like all of them. And once they got into Florida's waters, they spread rapidly. Lionfish aren't just a Florida problem, but Florida's reefs are right in the middle of the invasion. Lionfish are incredibly efficient predators. They eat constantly, especially juvenile reef fish. That means they're not just killing fish that exist now, they're wiping out the next generation before it can even grow. When reef fish disappear, the entire reef starts to collapse. Native Atlantic fish didn't evolve alongside lionfish. They don't recognize them as predators. Lionfish also have venomous spines, very few natural enemies, and they can live in deep water, making them extremely hard to control. In some areas, lionfish have been shown to reduce native reef fish populations by more than 50%. That's not just a nuisance, that's an ecosystem level impact. You can go lionfish hunting though. It actually looks kind of fun. Get a spear gun, take out the invasive lionfish. I hear they taste really good too. I tried to get some when I was in Florida, but they didn't have any. Eat lionfish to save Florida. And now we've reached the final boss of invasive species in Florida. This is the Burmese python, and it's the most destructive, invasive predator Florida has ever seen. This isn't just another invasive species. This is an apex predator that is rewriting the food web of the Everglades. Burmese pythons were brought to Florida through the exotic pet trade, escaped and released animals over time. Who would have thunk it? But in 1992, Hurricane Andrew changed everything. The storm destroyed a reptile breeding facility in South Florida, releasing a large number of captive pythons into the nearby wild habitat. That event didn't start the problem by itself, but it helped supercharge an invasion that was already happening. Burmese pythons are centered in the Everglades and Big Cypress, but they're slowly expanding beyond that point. These pythons will eat almost anything they can overpower. Raccoons, opossums, birds, even deer. In some parts of the Everglades, native mammal populations have collapsed after pythons became established. Nothing in Florida evolved to deal with a snake this large. The largest one I'm aware of was a female at 17 feet. And get this, she had over 200 eggs inside of her. Just to give you an idea on how bad the problem is. These adult pythons have no natural predators. They're perfectly camouflaged, incredibly stealthy, and Florida's climate matches their native range almost exactly. By the time you see one, it's already gone. That's not an invasive species problem. That's an ecosystem collapse. Let me know in the comments if you want me to cover this more. Those are 5 invasive species of Florida. And believe me, there are more. None of these animals arrived in Florida on their own. Every single one of them is here because of Florida man. I mean people in general. Florida has not evolved for this, and now it's paying the price. Or I could do a whole invasive species part 2 in Florida. Let me know if you want it. And remember, nature is random and chaotic. I will see you next time.